You're listening to TayRadio Marin, a show run by youth in Marin County to inspire, educate, and be heard, with your host, Annalie Reyes.
And your co-host, Santi Hernandez.
And your co-host, Min Soon.
Thank you for joining us this week on Tay Radio. Make sure to tune in every Friday at 4 p.m. And as always, don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Tay Radio Marin.
Hello, welcome back to TayRadio, everyone. I'm your host, Annalie Reyes.
And I'm your host, Javier Vicuna.
On today's show, we'll be talking about the inauguration day. I'm not sure how to spell it out, but we're going to talk about Biden's presidency on January 20th. It's when this happened, and we feel like it's a lot of information, and we want to inform you guys, and we hope that it's going to be interesting. And I think it's a very important event, especially right now with what really happened during these quarantine months. So yeah, but before we do talk about that, we do want to introduce Javier with his quote of the week, which is the first time him doing this, so it's pretty exciting. And I'll leave it to Javier.
All right, thank you, Annalie. So the quote that I picked for this week is, "We will not march back to what was, but move to what shall be a country that is bruised but whole, benevolent but bold, fierce and free." This is a direct quote from Amanda Gorman's inaugural poem. And this quote really sets the stage for how we as a country are right now. We aren't perfect, but we know we have hope to move forward together under a new presidency. And I'll be talking more about Amanda Gorman's poem later in the show, just because, I mean, it's amazing, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, and I totally agree that it's better to be unified. I know a lot of people have different perspectives, and that's how we're all different. And so it's just better to be unified. But we'll be right back after this short PSA, and we hope you find it helpful.
Are you in an unhealthy relationship? Are you a victim of a crime? Need someone to talk to? Well, the Victim Witness Program is able to help you by giving you the support and help that you need to be safe. You can call the Victim Witness Program at 415-473-5080. Again, the number is 415-473-5080.
Welcome back. The PSA that you watched was from us, and we hope that it was helpful for you guys. But we will be talking more about Inauguration Day. And I know, like, for me personally, I didn't know what was Inauguration Day until like I read it in an article recently. I wasn't really into politics until this year when I took AP Gov and politics. But it's very interesting, and I think it holds a very important day for many people here in the United States. And I did wanted to explain what was Inauguration Day, especially for those who are younger audiences here who is watching or listening. And Inauguration Day is basically celebrating the 4-year term of the new presidency. And it's where like the president swears the oath of being a good president. And it happens every 4 years once the president's term ends. And it can happen twice if the president does decide, if the president is elected twice, but it can only happen two times because presidents only are allowed for 2 terms. And it's been going on since 1937, so it's been a long time since this like tradition of presenting the new president. And it's kind of like interesting seeing the history, how a lot of people would be celebrating outside. And I know like this year was a lot different because it's the global pandemic right now, and we did see it live, but it's quite different when you're there outside. and I'm pretty sure a lot of social media and websites had the live, and when that happened, I was in class, so I heard from my teacher that she was putting it on while she was teaching, and she just encouraged us to watch it because it is important. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say about that. And Javier, do you have any comments about that? Like any experience, or have you watched the inauguration day like in your past years?
So yeah, that's interesting because I also was in the middle of doing the other show that we do for our program while the inauguration was going on. So I couldn't fully watch it live, but I did see all the highlights. And I mean, I think it was a great inauguration, all things considered, especially with there not being, enough people weren't allowed to be there due to what's going on right now, right? But they still did a really good job, and it was a great show. And I mean, at school when I was in high school, we watched the inauguration of Obama. For I remember watching for his first term and for his second term. Um, I think we watched his first term during middle school, and again, during middle school, I wasn't really like into politics and I didn't really understand it, just like you, right? Because I didn't really understand what inauguration is. But after watching the second term, I took AP US history when it was going on. So I learned a lot from my teacher during that. It was really educational. And I think if you have never watched an inauguration before, this one was really good. But I'd also recommend watching Obama's second term inauguration, which was really great. And yeah, it was just awesome. And just seeing that transfer of power really is what the inauguration was for me when I was watching, was that. And then when Trump became president, my school actually did not want to show the inauguration for that, so I actually didn't get a chance. And I haven't watched it either, but I mean, I don't really plan on doing that because it's all in the past now. but but I do recommend watching Obama's inauguration because that one's great. But this one was really good too.
Yeah, and I saw a lot through the social media about like the singers who were singing there, and I'm pretty sure it was like quite different, um, like type of songs for the inauguration for Donald Trump. So it's quite interesting how it might look different. Um, but I did want to give like a brief overview of what like happened because I know there was a lot of stuff happening that day, and I just wanted to give some highlights of what happened. So Trump did leave the White House, and he also spoke at the Joint Base Andrews before heading to Florida. So he does plan to live in Florida at his home. And then Biden did attend church. I think there was like a Miss Massa or something like that. And he arrived at the Capitol. And then Harris was sworn into vice president. And then Biden was sworn as the 46th president. And he did swear oath on a treasured family Bible. And then there was singers and poets who performed. And I know like a lot of that spoke a lot to the viewers. And we did see that Biden signed his first presidential documents. And he also like signed like a law, I believe. But he did sign in front of the social media and the news, so you can see videos of him signing and explaining what he was signing. And I did hear that he signed about something that will help for the pandemic, and I know like he's gonna do a lot of movement towards that. And recently I saw that he thinks that there's gonna be vaccines for everyone who wants to get vaccines by spring. So we can totally tell that he's making the effort to make that possible. And then there's so much more, but there's also the parade, and then Biden entering the White House. And so I did like how they ended with the fireworks. And they actually had Katy Perry sing fireworks, which was pretty ironic. But it was nice seeing that. I feel like fireworks really represent something that is beginning or something new. And I know that like for President Biden, it's definitely going to be something different compared to previous years, especially during this pandemic. But I did see a lot of reactions and outcomes from the social media, and I'm excited for Javier to talk about that, because there was a lot of outcomes and reactions.
Yeah, so there were a lot of reactions on Inauguration Day. A lot of world leaders spoke with a lot of high hopes. Just a few that that I found notable was the president of the Europe Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, said there was finally a friend in the White House due to the previous transatlantic relations that were being strained for the past 4 years. It seemed like she had that we're moving forward. She has hope that the U.S. and Europe will continue to look into that transatlantic relationship. I mean, speaking of that, the UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson congratulated Biden and looks forward to strengthening the relationship between the US and the UK and working on tackling climate change issues, dealing with the pandemic, and as mentioned, strengthening the transatlantic security. The Israeli Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, also congratulated Biden and Harris and look forward to strengthening the US-Israel alliance, which I knew was not looking too pretty during the Trump administration. Something else that I found interesting about the outcome of the inauguration was there was actually supposed to be another type of riot by the Trump supporters during the inauguration, but luckily no one showed up. And I'm glad that no one showed up because I really was not looking forward to seeing another violent event happen on, such a big day for America. There's actually a really good Vice video on this called "We Spoke to a Lone Trump Supporter at Biden's Inauguration." The video basically shows that there was only like 2 or 3 Trump supporters actually like near the inauguration area. So no Trump supporters actually ended up showing up, which is great. We're glad that there wasn't any violence. But it also goes to show how, the events that happened at Capitol Hill really left a lasting effect on everyone. And it really discouraged any other people from doing something similar. But yeah, like you were mentioning, social media highlighted a lot of what was going on in the inauguration. And that's personally how I was getting most of my information from the inauguration, just because I couldn't watch it live. But I do recommend, like I said before, do watch the inauguration live, or at least highlights on YouTube or on any other kind of video sharing website, because it's really a spectacle to behold through watching it.
Yeah, I also was not looking forward for like just because like I didn't look forward for the inauguration day because I was kind of nervous about having another riot of Donald Trump supporters because like there was a lot of people who lost their lives during this riot, and it was just a very disappointing event for many of us. And I did hear that like they were planning to do that in inauguration day, so I was just not looking forward for that specifically. And I'm glad to hear that there wasn't any. But yeah, so next we'll be playing a song by Crepe, and we'll be right back.
Yo, CeeLo killed this shit.
Yeah, she made me heartless. She hopping in the mosh pit. Yeah, she made me wanna drop. She made me wanna lock it. She wants my mind, I lost it. She wants my heart, but it's rotten. Yeah, I got a black heart, I'm a rock star. Running out of patience, baby, I'm not a doctor. Running past my enemies, but I think I lost her. Stuck up in the clouds, in my thoughts, I need to talk to her. Talk to her. Talk to her, it's a massacre. My mind's starting to blur. Yeah, I need to find the light. Spent too much time in this darkness. I was so low, she told me she's my mistress. I was tripping out, all I did was listen. Rolling up again, I know I'm a misfit. You fucking with my mental, please keep your distance. Yeah, stay away. You bring me so much pain. You a demon, I can see it in your fangs. I can't think cause you f***ing with my brain. I'm starting to feel sick, but I can't feel shit. Yeah, numb to the touch, but the emotions are built. I'm in the clouds, baby, I'm about to trip. Yeah, I'm about to flip. Yeah, she made me heartless. She hopping in the mosh pit. Yeah, she made me wanna drop. She made me wanna lock it. She wants my mind, I lost it. She wants my heart, but it's rotten. Yeah, I got a black heart, I'm a rock star. Running out of patience, baby, I'm not a doctor. Running past my enemies, but I think I lost her. Stuck up in the clouds, in my thoughts, I need to talk to her. Running through this maze, backward to the face. I don't feel phased, but I've seen better days. And I wish I can go back. And I wish I could do it with you. And I wish I could just talk to you. Yeah, king of the...
Welcome back. The artist you were listening to was by Crepe. You can stream his music on Spotify. And if you're an artist and would love to share your songs with us, we like for you to reach us out on Instagram at TayRadio, and we look forward for your response. And we're excited and happy that you decided to share your music with us. We were lastly talking about some reactions and outcomes of Inauguration Day. And we did wanted to comment about what happened and what we liked personally. I know this sounds, this part is more interesting, and I would love to know also like what Javier thought was interesting about the Inauguration Day. So I'm gonna let Javier talk about that first.
Yeah, the one thing that I saw that really stood out to me, and I was actually really grateful to watch live, it was one of the few things I could actually watch live, was seeing Amanda Gorman's inaugural poem and her delivering it. Just seeing a young Black poet up on the podium and reading out arguably the best inaugural poem was really a sight to behold. I recommend everyone to watch her reading of her poem in full, or at least read it, because her delivery and energy is fantastic. She talked a lot about how divided like in her poem, she talked a lot about how divided our country is due to the past 4 years. But she also spoke of having hope and ways that we can move forward peacefully and respectfully together. And I felt really hopeful and comforted hearing her poem. And she really hit the point that this inauguration is more than just a transfer of power, but an actual way of moving our country forward to where we want it to be. And I believe you had a question about one of the quotes, right, Annalie?
Yeah, so I was looking at a article, and they did tell me that there was a young Black poet who talked in Inauguration Day, and I saw this quote that was was highlighted from her poem, and I wanted to make sure like I understood it. And the quote says, "Leave behind a country better than the one we were left." And I'm not sure if it's because I didn't like see the poem like in full, because I might be missing the context, but I would like for you to explain if you understood the quote a bit.
So it's a really great quote from her poem, and it kind of just goes with what I was saying before, that her poem is really about bringing us together and moving forward together. So the way I interpret "Leave Behind a Country Better Than the One We Were Left" is she's telling people that, you know, the country that we have right now isn't great. You know, it's not a perfect country, and we're always going to have our faults. But right now, especially, the way it was handled the past 4 years really left us divided. And if we if we strive to make things better during this new presidency under Biden and Harris, uh, then we can leave this current country behind and together form a better country for the future. Uh, but you know, there's always going to be this is just going to be part of history. History is looking at us right now, as much as we're looking at the future. And again, it's just crazy how much like what she says in her poet is just so relevant to how we're going to move forward now. And she's just a terrific speaker, and I really look forward to hearing more poems from her in the future. I mean, I'm definitely going to be reading more of her stuff now that I know who she is, because I personally didn't know who she was before the inauguration took place. But she seems to be a Harvard grad, which is really crazy. And yeah, she seems like a wonderful person, and I'm going to be following more of her, where her poetry takes her and her writing. And yeah, I highly recommend, again, everyone to go take a listen to Amanda Gorman's inaugural poem.
Yeah, I totally look forward to looking at that. You totally convinced me to watch it, so I will be looking into that more. And now that you explained it, I kind of understand it more, that even if Biden won like presidency, like the fight is still not over. We have to make sure
Exactly.
that we make those laws that we need for it to continue a better country. And so I did wanted to like talk about like an interesting thing that I saw, and it was the fist bump of Obama and Harris. There was a
Mm,
picture of it, and I think it caused a lot of reaction because it was very symbolic. Um, Obama and Harris are actually like broke history as the first African Americans to serve as president and vice president. And I just get excited seeing that because you really see that there's like the country is evolving, and
oh yeah.
I personally believe that like that's very exciting, and I would like to see like Mexican Americans becoming vice president, or like Guatemalan Americans or Korean Americans. And I know there's gonna be like a lot of controversial about this, but I think it's just about evolving because United States is not just one race, it's multiracial, and we are also looking for racial equality. Um, so I just like I'm really excited for the future and hope that does evolve more. But yeah, that's just one thing. Do you have any comments of what you liked inauguration day?
I agree with what you said about you know, that picture of Obama and Harris fist bumping each other, because it does really show how far we've come, you know, despite what I just said earlier about, you know, how we're still pretty broken. uh and this is a really good, that picture is a really good symbol of where we're going to go next, of how things are actually changing. And I'm so happy to have seen so many African Americans at the inauguration, like being represented in office. And I mean, in terms of like Latino representation, I'd love to see more Latino representation. And I think uh, even though she didn't win vice presidency, Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez, AOC, is awesome. And she is also, again, another great symbol of, you know, a person of color, Latina, who is a woman and is doing so much for our country right now. and she's very young too, which is also inspiring to a lot of us. And honestly, if you're not into politics and like at all, hearing her talk is very easy to understand, which I appreciate. And she's very transparent about everything. She doesn't really hide, and she's very good at like looking at like issues and seeing through the lies that a lot of these politicians talk. And if you're really just getting into politics, um, I'd highly recommend watching some of AOC's like what she's done in her career and hearing some of her speeches, because she's awesome. But I mean, I'm also very happy that we have Kamala Harris as our vice president, because it's just nice to see finally a person of color and a woman be part of the presidency.
Yeah, I totally agree that Alexandra Cortez she's like very direct. And if you have seen like her, like there's YouTube videos of her like talking to other people. And there was one video that really stood out to me. Like she was like going over like examples, and then it was just in general, it just showed how the president doesn't have like they're not like held accountable much than the people who work in the Senate or stuff like that. So she just really explains really well what she believes, and shows it to the viewers. And she's very young at the same time, so it's very inspiring. So like I totally recommend watching videos about her and her speeches. But sadly, we are near the end of the show. But before we go, Javier, do you have any last words to
I
say?
think that yeah, I mean honestly, I think that the inauguration of Biden and Harris was a really really great thing to watch. And like I said before, everyone should go watch at least the highlights of it and know that hopefully our country is moving in a better direction now under this new presidency.
Yeah, and we're very happy that you guys were here and listening to us and educate at least a bit. And we're inspired to look over new videos or poems, and hope you do get informed more. I especially did get informed a lot, and we just hope that you guys have a good weekend. And let us know what shows you would like us to talk about. If you're really into like a topic and you really want to share it out, let us know, and we can have you featured even here on the show. We would like for you to be a guest as well. But that's it for the show. We hope you guys do have a good weekend, and we'll all see you next Friday. Bye, guys.
This is the end of our show for this week. Make sure to catch us next week at 4 p.m. on Facebook and Instagram at TayRadio Marin.